Okay. Um, Hello and welcome. This is going to be a little strange, I know. But as I'm sure you are aware by now, uh, the campus is closed for the day. Sorry, my voice is a bit hoarse. Um, Probably due to the weather. Um, okay, so campus is closed today, and therefore there's no lab. However, because we were off last week for MLK Day weekend and we're off today, I figured this is the best way to relay some information to you. So that way, next week, when we do come back, God willing, we won't have to make up an insane amount of work and will it'll be a lot easier for everybody. Excuse me. Okay, so few things first. Next week, you will bring in your critique sheet for Project 1 as of now. And unless you are told otherwise by either Professor Doyle or myself, Project 2 is due next week as scheduled. Okay? Let me make that, let me repeat that again. Unless you hear from either myself or Professor Doyle, Project 2 is due next Monday at 11 a.m. as scheduled. Okay? You were assigned the project with enough time to still be able to get it done, and it was repeated numerous times that it should not be put off to the last minute. So it's due as of right now as scheduled, and we will I'll let you know if anything changes. Okay, so the agenda for today is we're going to just recap over project number 2, go just to make sure everyone's clear on everything. Then I'm going to assign project number 3, which I did ask you all to, via announcement, to look over as well as be in touch with your groups, and I will go over the groups again and assign project number 3. And then I'm going to do a small demonstration about microphone phasing, which will come in handy for project number 3 when we do it live. Um, Please know that it's not going to be the greatest demonstration because I don't have the space or really all the equipment and cables necessary to fully show you, but I will hopefully be able to get the point across, and then it'll be a little bit easier to understand. Okay? All right, so. Okay. So, project number 2. Once again, you are creating a newscast of one national story, one state story, and one local of either CMU or Mount Pleasant story. And it could be either national, state, local, or local, state, national, your choice. You will have an entertainment or sports story. You can only choose one. And the weather, which will be today, tonight, and tomorrow. Each news story should be no more than a couple of sentences, and the entire production should be between 225 and 230. All right? And once again, you must use credible sources and credible stories, and they must be true and recent. Okay? You will also have to use the PSA that is on one of the CDs, as well as a new sounder from a different CD. Both are in the studio lab. You must use the little bit of script that we give you, just so this way you are professional intro and outro, as well as your transition to and from the PSA. You must use the script that we provide you. Furthermore, you are handing in on Blackboard your final project labeled properly. Now, I noticed quickly that some of you for Project 1 relabeled the submission to Blackboard, but not your actual track. Keep in mind, you need to label your actual track, so that way when I download it, it will have the proper name associated with it and not revert back to whatever the system you use to convert it named it as. Okay, so you need to rename the actual file, not just your Blackboard submission. Okay, it must be in MP3 format, otherwise it's a 0 as per syllabus, and you need to hand in a clean typed copy of your new script and your project critique sheet. So just to go over, critique sheet, once again, critique participation, following instructions and format. Okay, your opening should be proper level for the new sounder. The balance of voice to sounder should be appropriate. The fade out, or I should say the fade under and out, should be appropriate. It should be nice and tight, and you need to stick to your timing. Use of microphone means that it should be proper levels, that you are the proper distance from your microphone, and that you are not having a lot of popping and sibilance. Tightness around PSA is extremely important. You don't want to have any time between the script and the actual PSA, so you want to make sure that PSA is geared up and ready to go. You also want to be very careful with your microphone at that point, so that way you don't hear the click of the play button on the microphone. Okay, and then closing your project, proper fade in and up of the sounder, and once again the balance of the voice to the sounder curtain. You want to make sure that you are curtaining your project, which once again is when it when the track ends at the same time that the music ends. You want to make sure that your closing is nice and tight and that you stick to the proper timing. Overall, you should have consistent levels, especially as you transition to the PSA and everything. It's very often that you can have inconsistent levels. You want to make sure to be aware of that your copy is appropriate and professional, as well as proper categories of stories, and that you have the technical quality of recording. Basically, it's just something that can go on air, and that you fit the proper length. Okay? Okay, so if there are any questions about that, please email me. Let me know if there's anything. And once again, unless you hear otherwise from either myself or Professor Doyle, Project 2 is due as scheduled next week. Okay? All right, next. Moving on to project number 3. Project number 3 is extremely exciting and very imagination filled. It's when we're going to be doing a radio drama using live sound effects. Now, this is something that is done all the time in movies and films. For example, you may have grown up watching The Three Stooges. All of those sound effects of the bonking on the nose, the squeaking hammer, and all that stuff is done using Foley. they're obviously not harming each other. So they're using fake hammers and all that, and so therefore the Foley artist then recreates the sound of a real hammer using different instruments and tools, which I will show you a couple of videos to demonstrate how this is done and why. So each member of the class will be split up into groups. I sent you the group list last week, and I'll go over it again. It is very important that you work really closely with your group. Each group will have directors and engineers. So the way that it's going to work. Okay. Give me a second to pull it up. Okay. So each group has either 3 or 4 people, and each person is going to have a very specific role. One person will be the director. All right, he's going to have the final say for things with the project. Then there's going to be the voice talent director, who is going to assign and then he's going to assign all the roles for the speaking dialogue of the script, as well as the day of the production. He's going to direct his staff. There's going to be the sound effects director, who will do the same for all of these sound effects, and he or she is responsible for making sure that all the proper tools and equipment are there. And then there's going to be the engineer, who's going to be the one working the board for both microphones, as well as any music that is used, making sure that it's recorded properly. And I know it may seem scary to work with 2 microphones, but if you would like, whoever is the engineer, you can set up a time with me and I can help you a little bit practice. Okay? The rest of the class is going to be picked by the other groups to do either the voice acting talent or the sound effects talent. Now, it's very important that each person is assigned only 1 role per script. Now, I know it may seem silly. I know it may seem like, oh, what, you can't do, shoe banging for walking and a squeaking door. Is that really so difficult? Yes. Yes, it actually is. Because when you do this live, there's so much going on, and there's so much just happening, and you very likely might do the wrong sound effect or not do it quick enough, and there's just so many ways to get flustered that it's not worth it for anyone's sake. So therefore, each sound effect must be done by a different person. Okay? Same thing with each voice talent. All right? Only 1 role. Okay? Which means that you're going to need to implement the rest of the class in your script, because there's going to be numerous roles that need to be filled. Okay? So, what you are going to be doing is a 4 to 5 minute radio drama. Okay? You will have to find links. You'll have to find a script that you want to use. I sent links in the announcement last week with some great websites. Now, understand that it is a first come, first serve for the script. No two groups can do the same script. So I'll be on top of that, and I'll explain in just a moment of how that's going to work. Okay? So let me... Okay, so each group is going to find a script, and they will make copies of the script for everyone in the lab, including the lab instructor, the day of. Now, I would highly recommend, if you can, to edit your script once you assign roles to everyone and include the name of the student that is going to be doing that sound. Makes it easier for everyone the day of. So, you will find a script with your group, you will assign all the roles, and you'll figure out how you want to do each sound effect using only live materials. So this could be, for example, if you want a gunshot, you can smash a bag of chips open. Okay? The only real rules are you can't bring any weapons into class. You have to be careful. If you make a mess, it's your responsibility to clean it up. And be creative. Okay? So as it says in the description, the crackling of fire could be a crumpling piece of cellophane. For a squeaking door, you can, open and close a desk. There's a lot of creative things that you can do. And it's very important. Sorry, my voice is really bad today. It's really important that you have each that you have each sound effect be its own thing. Okay? Where was I going with this? Okay, it will come back to me. So, plan out the assignments, and the day of you'll have about 20 minutes to do your entire project, which means that if you time it well and you do all the pre-planning, you should be able to get a couple of, at least 2 or 3 takes in. And then you will let me know which one you want graded. Okay? The microphones are going to be hot or live. So you want to make sure that you coordinate with everyone in your group, all your acting talent, with hand signals. All right? So practice with your group. There's you can look up a list of common nonverbal cues for television production. Okay? Any music that you want to use for your script, you must have pre-recorded, and it should be on a CD, because if you have it on a SD card, it's going to make things a little bit complicated when you want to record onto an SD card, and it's just going to ask for issues and put a lot of stress that is unnecessary on your engineer. So please, if you using any music, sound, background music or anything for your script, put it onto a CD. Okay? Okay. So, okay, now I remember. It's very important that your script has a lot of sound effect. All right, you don't want to have 3 pages of your script be just dialogue. You must have a lot of sound effects. Therefore, if your script doesn't have enough sound effects, work with your group and create some. Add stuff in. If you find a great script that's a lot longer than 5 minutes, cut it into chapters and do a chapter or segment of the story, which is very common in radio dramas, where you have a chapter, you end on a cliffhanger, and then you continue on the following week or whenever, however frequently the show would air. Okay. You want to make sure that you all bring a critique sheet in, because if you assign one person to bring the critique sheet and they are late, you will all be losing out. So make sure that you're all on time and you all have a critique sheet just in case. You will be doing your performances random order, okay? So be aware that you should all be on time. There's no way to make up this project if you're absent, as it is done live in class. So, going over the critique sheet, you must have all the names of your group members as well as the script title. Okay. So, for pre-production, you want to make sure that you are planning and preparing properly, that you're assigning the roles for the voice acting, you're assigning the roles for the Foley sound effects, your sound effects are creative, and the tools that you're implementing are creative, as well as you're using enough sound effects to really get you into the story. During the actual performance, you want to make sure that you're using your assigned time productively. You want to make sure that the sound effects director is directing his crew properly. Same thing with the voice actor director. You want to make sure that you're following the script. Now, it's okay to improvise and go on the fly and change things day of, but you need to have it in the script somewhere, okay? So just jotting it down between takes, you need to make sure to follow the script. And please let me, as the executive director of each group, know if there's any changes, because I need to be able to know what's going on as well. And then you want to make sure that there is general control of the production, which would be from the general director. For the engineering, you want to make sure that the quality is good, that you have the control of the recording levels, making sure that everything is good, and that you can really get a perspective of the scene. This is done by making sure that the right microphones are either on or off, making sure the music is, if any, is done timely and accordingly. Okay? So, let's see what that looks like. Okay, so this here is a little video of okay, so this here is going to be a little video explaining how sound effects are made. Okay.
Probably the most famous because of Monty Python is your two empty halves of coconuts, you're banging them together. But if we're doing, we did Christmas Carol, and you might be out in the streets and you just might have a horse and carriage kind of a thing just going by in the background. It helps you know we're out in the street. It gives it this. It gives it the age. You know, okay, there's horses going by in the street. You know, okay, that helps. That helps gives the flavor of the time and the setting. You know, I was just thinking of it as we need to provide the sound for the radio broadcast that we're doing, but I didn't realize how entertaining it was watching the stuff being done with the props all being manipulated. Two people are talking and they're saying, you know, let's go into the next room or something like that. And it's the shoes that brings the point of view in the audience to, okay, we're moving from one place, we're moving to another place. And you know, or if someone's making an exit and you move it away from the microphone and it gets softer, then you go, okay, that person's leaving now. I see a lot of people sitting in the audience, and some of them will just sit back and close their eyes with a big smile on their face and let the story unfold in front of their ears as if they were just listening to a radio. So to recreate the sound and recreate a lot of sounds, I do a lot of listening to things. I'm horrible when I go to a hardware store, you know, because I'll pick up stuff and I'll and I'll bang it around. I'll manipulate stuff, you know. And the guy's going, okay, may I help you? And I said, oh no, I got this. You got this, you know, in a silver, but I'll get a door unit thing like this, and I might want to manipulate to say, okay, what kind of sounds can I make? And how can I apply it to a script? And so I might go, well, okay, that could be a gun cocking. When you get on the soundstage, you can use it to make a very large bird sound, or maybe even a quickly smaller bird with smaller wings, kind of a thing. I'll get a script for a show. So I'll look and I'll say, okay, you know, maybe we can add some walking shoes here, or maybe we can add some background clinks of dishes or something like that, and I'll add that into the sound design, and then I'll look at it and say, okay, how many hands do I need? Because I've finally come to the understanding that I can't necessarily do. He walked down the hallway, he opened the door, he cocked his gun, and then I'm dropping a lot of things. So I might get one or two more other sound effects artists to join the show. I learned just by doing it a whole bunch of ways that you can use sound effects to augment a story.
Okay, so that was explaining a little bit about how it's done, and then let me pull it up. This here is a funny little way of what happens when Foley goes wrong and how you can try to improvise, and sometimes it's just too late.
All right, folks, we're just tickled to have you in the live audience for our Radio Mystery Hour tonight. But remember, keep your own noise to a minimum, because if you talk, the sound will be picked up in the live broadcast tonight, and we want our actors here on stage and our sound technician, Mallory, there in the back. Ain't she a doll?
So that is actually very important, and that's why the day of the production, we are all going to have our phones on silent, not on vibrate, on silent, because you want to make sure that there's not going to be anything picked up. And if your phone is on vibrate, and then if you have other things in your pocket like your keys or anything, it will vibrate against that, and it could be picked up by the microphone. So you want to make sure that your cell phones are off or on silent the day of production. And if you're in the script, you want to make sure that you are quiet until your director tells you otherwise. And if you are in the audience, you want to be very careful to be quiet as well. That means no giggling at jokes, no laughing, no applauding unless directed, okay? Because everything can and will be picked up by the microphones.
Oh, yes, sirree. Okay, she's done now. All right, folks, enjoy the show. Stay tuned. We're going live in 5, 4, 3.
And now Radio Mystery Hour presents part 2 of the haunting story, The Next Door Neighbors, sponsored by...
Campbell's soup. You know you want a cup, so make your wife warm one up. Ba-da-ba-da.
In the old abandoned house, Rex stood at the window and Sheila huddled in the corner, terrified. Outside, the rain fell loudly. The wind raged. And the thunder clapped.
Oh, Rex, I'm so frightened. I don't believe we're going to make it out of here.
He walked to her.
Look at me, dollface. We'll make it out, I swear.
He leaned in to kiss her for the first time, but then... a knock at the door. Rex and Sheila froze. Then the door creaked open. Rex started walking toward the door.
Oh, Rex, do be careful.
I will, Sheila.
He pushed the door open and there was nothing there. All he heard was this song in the wind. Rex slammed the door and then all was quiet.
What was that, Rex?
It was just a song, Sheila, with a lot of odd percussion at the end.
They listened again, but all they heard was the whistling of the wind. Rex was so nervous he could hear the sound of his own heartbeat.
Rex, you're trembling.
Sheila walked over to Rex.
You're a classy broad, Sheila.
But right at that moment, there were 3 more knocks at the door, and it started to creak open again. And once again, that eerie tune. They were mystified by the song. Rex snapped out of it and slammed the door again and locked it.
Slam! I mean, lock it, it's locked.
I don't want to know what that was.
Me neither, Rex.
All they could hear was the babbling brook outside the house. Then suddenly the unimaginable happened. A masked man sitting on an elephant burst into the room, causing the entire side of the house to crumble.
Oh, boom! Ah, the children aren't safe.
The elephant let out a cry, and a baby elephant ran in and cried back.
Mama.
The man shot a BB gun and the bullet shattered the window, then ricocheted off a pot, then a lamp, then a chair, then a beam, then the lamp again, and then landed on top of the stairs, and it rolled all the way down the stairs faster and faster until it dropped into a cup of water.
Okay. Pew! Bing, bing, bing! Oh, lamp! Oh, my eye! Oh! My body! Ah! Oh, top of the stairs, it's so high! Boom, stairs, 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 stairs. Rolling down the stairs, rolling down the stairs, 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 stairs. Shoo!
You're fired. Okay, so hopefully that gave you a little bit of an idea of what Radio Foley is all about. Okay, just give me a second to pull up the list of groups. And hopefully everyone is staying nice and safe and warm today. The weather's going to be really ugly, so hopefully you're all staying safe. Okay. Okay. Give it a second to pull up. And there we go. Okay. So let me just adjust the screen. Okay. So as you can see, so group 1 is Jack Brewer, Elena Hess, Natasha Moore, Anna Rudnitsky. Group 2, Brody Britton, Charles Houston, Nathan Plotkin, and Sage Sanders. Group 3, Aaron Hatfield, Eric Krause, and Maximilian Rottenberg. Okay? Now, I know group 3 you only have 3 people, and that's okay. It's very doable. It just means that the general director would also take on the role of a second position. I would recommend that the general director also takes on the role of voice talent director, as that is a lot easier to manage. So, I asked you guys last week to try to reach out to your groups and assign yourselves the roles and try to find a script. At this point, you must have your roles assigned as well as your script picked by 11:59 p.m. Wednesday night. Whoever is the general director for each group is to email me with the list of who from their group is doing what and what script they are doing, and as well as a link to the script so I can look it over. Once again, you can only do one script per class, so therefore if 2 people have a script the same script that they would like to use, whoever emails me first gets it, and I will notify the other one. But between the 2 websites, there's so many amazing, incredible, and just beautiful scripts to use. So I don't think it will be a problem. Okay? So, once again, just email me. Whoever's going to be the general director needs to email me with a list of who in their group is doing what role and what script they are doing, as well as a link. Excuse me. And that is due 11:59 p.m. Wednesday. Okay? Therefore, we can all be on the same page. So, get together with your groups. Blackboard has a way to email classmates if need be. So, utilize that and set up a way to communicate. And so, yeah. Okay. If there are any questions on project number 3, please let me know. I will do my best to help resolve any issues. Okay. So, let's move on quickly to microphone phasing. So it's very important that you are aware of what microphone phasing is, because it's going to play a very important role in project number 3. The idea of microphone phasing is that when you have a setup of multiple people and they are using multiple microphones for different things, each microphone assigned to its own channel, you want to make sure that just like it's assigned to its own channel, you want to make sure it's picking up what that channel is supposed to pick up. So that means if you have a microphone, for example, the one I'm using right here, if I have someone else in the room with me and they're talking into another microphone, they need to be far away and far enough away that this microphone is not going to pick up their voice. Because this way, if my microphone channel gets turned off, okay, my voice would not be picked up by the other channels, and vice versa. This is very important when you are miking up a musician, for example, and you have a band. You want to make sure that each microphone is only picking up what it's supposed to do. So this way, if everyone but the drummer is silent, you want to make sure that you're not picking up their hushed voices as they're talking to each other to figure out, okay, next up we're going to do this and this, and you'll do A minor or whatever. You want to make sure that that's not going to be picked up by the drummer's microphone. So you need to follow the 3-to-1 rule, okay? Which means that the distance that I am from mic 1 should be you want to have the next microphone 3 times the distance away from this microphone, okay? So if I am a little bit away from this microphone, the next microphone needs to be 3 times away from this one. In fact, let me see if I can pull up a quick little diagram. Phone 3 to 1 rule. It's loading. Hold on. It's a tad little slow, but it's getting there. Perfect. Okay. Let's get it a little bit bigger. Okay, so as you can see, if this group of people is 3 feet away from this microphone, the next microphone should be 9 feet away, because if they are 3 feet from their microphone, each microphone needs to be 9 feet apart from the other. And this will help make it sound, oops, sorry. I hit my microphone's boom arm spring. I apologize. So you want to make sure that the microphones are distanced enough that it's going to be capturing just that microphone and not overlapping any sounds. So, I have a second microphone with me. It's not going to be able to really show exactly sound-wise why it's an issue, but at least you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I don't have another person with me to really, truly explain it, but hopefully between what I just said and the diagram and what I'm about to show you will help. So, okay, so if I'm going to be pretend that I'm staying over here with this distance of the microphone, okay? And my second microphone is going to be about over here, okay? And we're going to pretend that this is the correct math of 3 times the distance of where I was originally to mic A is the 3 times the distance of what mic A and B are going to be apart. Okay? So, if I was 3 inches away from mic A and B are going to be 9 inches away from each other. That's the idea of the 3-to-1 rule. Okay? So, alright. So I hope that that made a little bit of sense. Okay? So as you, so for project number 3, this is going to be very important because we are going to have, we're going to have microphone A for the voice talent by production station number 3, and microphone B for the sound effects talent is going to be in the little cubicle next to production station 4. So therefore, you want to make sure that you're following the 3-to-1 rule, so this way the voice talent won't be caught on the microphone B, and the sound effects won't be caught on microphone A, and therefore when your engineer turns off a certain channel, so this way the other microphone will be picked up solely to get the proper ambience of the production, you want to make sure that you're not crossing any voices or sound effect into the other channel. So in short, just like each microphone has its own channel, you want to make sure that they are keeping to the channel and microphone that they are assigned to. And so if I am a certain distance from microphone A, you want the next microphone B, to be 3 times the distance away from the other microphone in order for it to properly not catch any of the other voices or sound effect. And I sincerely apologize. I know that this really is not necessarily the greatest way to demonstrate, and especially because I can't have you guys see and hear the audio of how it's gonna get fixed, how it would be an issue if you don't follow the rule. But this is the best I can do right now, and I want you guys to at least understand a little bit of the mechanism, and you can, read up on it. I believe it should be mentioned in your textbook as well. But this way you can at least get a better understanding for when we do it live. And hopefully this video today answered some of your questions and concerns, and it will enable us to, next week, God willing, when we do meet, we will not have to catch up 2 weeks of work almost. So I sincerely apologize for the weirdness of today's lesson. But just some reminders. Bring critique sheet number 1 next week. Bring critique sheet number 2 next week. Bring project number 2 due at 11 o'clock next Monday, unless you hear otherwise from Professor Doyle or myself. Okay? The general director for project number 3 of each group is to email me by 11:59 p.m. Wednesday night who in your group is doing what and what script you're doing and the link to the script. Okay? I highly encourage that you watch some more Radio Foley videos on YouTube, as well as get with your team and see how you can make it work. And seriously, be creative with this. Project number 3 is really all about creativity and teamwork. And that's super important in this field because you'll often have to write scripts from scratch. Try saying that 10 times fast. And so, therefore, you need to be aware of how creative you can be. And it'll be a really fun experience. Okay? So, I hope that you gained something from this video. And I hope that you are going to stay safe out there in this really terrible weather. If you have to go out for whatever reason, be sure to bundle up and be safe out on the roads. And I will see you next week. God willing, I'll be in my office on Wednesday for anything that anyone wants to discuss. Yeah, this was an experience for all of us. And I hope that it will, I hope that it answers some questions, and I hope that it didn't cause more questions. Yeah, have a great day, have a great week, and stay safe.